Welcome back everyone, this is the Vintage Sewing Machine Garage. Wanted to make a video today as I've been wrapping up the work on this Singer 1530 treadle machine that you guys have been seeing some of my videos on. I saw, this is I believe the original bobbin case, although it could have been replaced over its lifetime. The machine is over 100 years old. But I wanted to encourage those of you who may be new to sewing machines or vintage machines to always remember that you need to be good to your bobbin case. Bobbin cases don't always get a lot of respect because some people think they're simply a housing or a cup, something that you take your bobbin and you put it into. And while they are that, they are a lot more than that. So let's say, I just took this out. It came out of the machine fine. I'm going to let the bobbin come out. So I'm just going to hold it, and then the bobbin comes out and you'll see the thread. Now, first thing I want to mention to you that will make your bobbin case happy is you never want to take your bobbin and pull, basically pulling the thread that's in the bobbin case out, because you're doing something backwards and it's not good for your bobbin case. So I'm going to take my scissors, cut the thread, then I'm going to take the bobbin case, okay, and you'll see it has a hanging thread tail. It's a black thread. Hopefully you guys can see that. And this is where it was originally threaded, right? So you want to, that thread is still in there. It's being held by a spring. So you want to pull in the direction that that it was put into, right? When the bobbin was put into the bobbin case, it was threaded into it. So this little thread remnant, make sure you pull it in the direction that it was originally threaded. You don't want to pull back because you're pulling backwards against the spring. So this little lever here is the first indication that this is a piece. A bobbin case is a device with moving parts. A lot of people don't realize that. Notice when I pull up on here, if I let go, you hear it? It's spring loaded. A spring is making it snap back. And when I pull up on here, look, I'm getting movement. You see this piece? See this piece to the left, right here where my finger is? Watch it move. As I pull here, it's moving. Okay, so you got metal parts sliding against each other. And when I took the bobbin out, well, it hasn't been cleaned in a while. Was it functioning? Sure. Would this machine sew with it like this? Probably. But do you really want to do that to a part that is so well made? It wasn't designed to work that way. It was designed to get a little bit more love than most people give them. And so I'm going to take, I've got, again, my trusty cotton swab here. I don't really need my precision tips. This is just a generic swab. And you can see the old oil and dirt and maybe a little oxidation coming off. And you really want to, be gentle, don't be rough with these things, but your goal here is to get them cleaned, right? You want to get them cleaned because remember that bobbin spins inside of here, and you really want it to not have problems because the bobbin case is a dirty, messy wreck. So we're going to clean that up. Let's see. Let's take a look here. We've got, to get it, we'll see, maybe the tip could be used in the very bottom rim here as I'm coming around. But this, the cotton swab is soft, right? It's relatively, gentle to use. You just never want to force anything in these. Now, this area here, I want to see what I can do. Now, another method to clean this, to get alcohol in there, to get the oil out, is to simply drop it down in the alcohol, which you can do, and you can let it sit there for a little bit if you want. That's one way to get the alcohol in there instead of me trying to sort of, try to coerce it to go in all these parts. Now, alcohol it evaporates quite quickly, which is useful in this case. And notice, see, now I've got alcohol in here. Watch what happens when I take look at what just came off, right? So that grime is interfering, or can interfere, I should say, with the function of your bobbin case. I think I've talked about this before. This may not seem like much. You think, well, there's not much coming off there. What's the big deal? This is a small device, right? And a lot of times we don't always remember that machines that were built in the analog period, right? This machine was built before electricity was in most people's homes. They are they have specifications, right? They have needs. Just because they're not computerized doesn't mean you can just, you know, ignore them, right? Or neglect them. I think abuse is not the right word here, but probably just neglect. I get a lot of machines that have been neglected, not on purpose. Many of them just didn't get used. You know, people said, you know, I want to use something new, and it's sat. But again, this bobbin, if you have a vintage bobbin case, you can get modern replacements. They're okay, right? Some of you have gotten them and they function for you, which is awesome. But honestly, and by the way, this is not a sharp, this is like a little, you see how smooth that is on the bottom? I'm being extra careful. I don't want to put scratches or gouges in this at all. So again, you've got all these little parts here that need to play together because you have moving parts that are going to determine the success of your stitch. If your bobbin case is having issues, you will have issues with your sewing, and they will show up. I can promise you that. So again, this probably hasn't been done in 40 years, if at all. So what I'm doing is I'm coming in here and trying to just get it cleaned up a bit, right? This is not for aesthetics, this is for function. Sometimes we do things for aesthetics, like on the outside of the machine. But, you know, look at what's coming up here. So we're getting a lot of this old goop out. And then, of course, the last thing you want to do, once you've gotten this far, see if I can get a little bit more here. Got a little bit I can see. And then I'll just take, and you want to be very conservative with sewing machine oil when you're dealing with a bobbin case, so you're going to have a lot of oil in your thread. But basically what I'm going to do here is just put one drop on each side of there where it moves, right? So now it has some oil there to move against, right? I'm going to do the same thing on this end. And if you look underneath, if I show you guys the other side, look underneath. Now watch, you see the movement? You can see these pieces moving. And yeah, I can probably come under here and do a little, but that's it. And you want to come back and mop this up. Remember, we don't always have to be this careful in other parts of the machine, but we do in this area, okay? You want to mop any excess oil in here because, you, again, and anytime you've overhauled your machine, I really recommend setting it up and do some test stitching. You may see some droplets of oil come out on the fabric, but just it'll eventually, you know, correct itself. You'll eventually go through that excess oil, but you're priming the machine, right? In this case, I've just primed the bobbin case because she still works good, and I've got nice snap here. So the springs are good. So what we just did, you can say, well, it was doing that before. Yes, but we're basically hoping and to help this bobbin case to keep functioning in the future. I love vintage hardware because it was made better. That doesn't mean you can't use the new hardware, right? Thank God we have new replacements, or we'd have a lot of machines dead in the water. But anyway, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, and I really believe that. So this may not be the most exciting part of your machine, but it is one of the most important. The bottom stitch is controlled via tension and formed because of how this bobbin case works. So be good to your bobbin case, guys, and check into it. You know, you just anytime you're going to have to put in a new bobbin, just look at it. Usually it looks fine, but again, this one sat for a long time. And if yours has not had any love lately, just check in on it and see how it's doing, because bobbin cases, really good quality bobbin cases, are complex. There's a lot going on here. More than you might think by just looking at this little thing. Thanks for watching, folks. Stay tuned and we will see you in the next video.